Okay, now that we have our Next.js application running locally, we have our cursor rules set up as well. We need to talk about Git and GitHub and the ability to store our application in the cloud. Okay, so this is meant for designers and product managers, not developers, and it's going to be a very simplistic way of thinking about what Git and GitHub are. In the most simplistic way, you can think of Git as something running on your local machine. It is responsible for your local file storage. It has a very robust versioning system and the ability to use kind of a time machine mechanism where you can actually revert to the previous version. So think of Git as something that is running on your machine locally. The other part to it is the cloud story here. So you can think of GitHub as your cloud storage. So whatever is running on your local machine can be stored in the cloud. So you can think of GitHub as your Google Drive or your OneDrive or your Box and so on. So this is entirely a cloud file storage, not necessarily a code. It can store any type of file. It still has the same robust versioning as Git. It is a very powerful collaboration mechanism. So you can have multiple teams, multiple people working in the same GitHub repository. And what it also allows you to is have the ability to deploy your code to production using GitHub. So as we are going to be working locally, you will be writing and developing locally. You have to have the ability to obviously push the changes to your GitHub. So there are just two concepts that I would like you to remember. The first one is pushing, or you can think of this as uploading from your local storage to your cloud storage. And then obviously, if you are working with multiple people that actually contribute to the same code base, there's another concept of pulling, or you can think of it as downloading. So you're downloading from the cloud to your local storage. So really, when you think about Git and GitHub, you can think about a local and a cloud partnership. There is a relationship one-to-one between the two. Whatever you do locally can be reflected or mirrored in the cloud and vice versa. Okay, the first step for us is to check if we actually have Git running on our local machine. On Mac, you should have Git because it normally comes with the operating system. On Windows, all you have to do is open, as an example, cursor wherever you can actually open a terminal window. So if you don't see a terminal, all you can do in cursor is click on terminal, new terminal. That's going to open our new terminal. And in the terminal, just type in git version and press enter. If this returns an error, it means you don't have Git. If you have Git, it's going to return which version of Git you have. You can do exactly the same thing on Mac. And in case you don't have Git on your machine, I'm going to show you now where to get Git from. Okay, so in case you didn't get a positive message in the terminal, so it means you don't have Git on your machine, it is most likely to happen on Windows. So if you don't have it, you just navigate to the Git website and you see this massive button that says download for Windows. All you have to do is just click on it. It's going to download an exe file, and you just go through the process of installing it as your normal Windows application. And that way you get Git on your local machine. In case of macOS system, macOS should have Git by default. If you also get the error message, one of the best ways to get Git installed is just to download Xcode to your machine, and that's going to also provide Git automatically. After installing Git on your machine, just run the same command in the terminal to confirm that you have the Git application running on your local machine. And if you don't get any errors, you can move to the next step, which is going to be the GitHub setup. Okay, so to get access to GitHub, we navigate to github.com and we have to create an account. So we just click on sign up, fill out the sign up to GitHub form. So after you have confirmed the provided code from GitHub, you just have to sign in to it now. So let's try that. And this is what we are presented with. So this is the dashboard homepage for github.com for your account. And we really don't have to spend much time here. We can go back to Cursor now and do our first commit and create our first repository. Okay, so we are back in Cursor and we will do everything from here. In the next episode, we will dive deeper into more complicated things when it comes to Git and GitHub. But for now, we will just stick to the interface interactions. So what do we need to do first? You see that we can either initialize a repository, which is going to create a repository in GitHub, which is going to link our, again, local files. All these files are stored locally and they're being versioned with Git. So all we have to do is initialize a repository and then push or upload the local files to our GitHub. Okay, so we've got our Git locally running. We've got our GitHub account. We've got our git ignore file created. All we can do, we can either click on initialize repository or we can click on publish to GitHub, which is gonna do pretty much the same thing. I'm gonna just initialize the repository. So what it has done, it has initialized, or it had queued to initialize the repository. You can see under changes, you see all the files and folders that we will be actually uploading to GitHub. You can think of it as pushing or uploading to GitHub. So for us to do that, the best way to go about it is to, one, add a comment, what is happening. If this is maybe your first commit, you can type in first commit. Or what I really like to do is actually I like to use the generate commit message, which is going to use AI. So sometimes the first message is just a not very useful one, but the more changes you make to your files in your local version of your application, the better the message is going to be. I'm just going to type in first commit, and then all we have to do is stage that commit. So you click on the checkbox here, and if I click publish branch, that is going to actually publish that or upload that to GitHub. Because we're not signed in and we have just a new account, what should happen for us, Cursor should ask us to actually sign in to GitHub. So let's see what happens. Yeah, so we're getting a pop-up here. The extension GitHub wants to sign in using GitHub. So you just click allow. We select the account that we have just created and paste the code from Cursor. So we just paste the code and hit continue and just authorize. And now we can exit from here and go back to Cursor. So let's go back to Cursor. Okay, so it has actually published to GitHub. As you see, this has changed to a disabled commit button, which means there are no changes that we can push. So now if we go to the GitHub page and we go to our account, click on either you can click on your avatar and then click on your repositories, or you can click in this tab section as well. If we click on repositories, here is our Vibe project. So this was pushed from the local using Git, and it's now in GitHub. So if I click in it, you will see the folder and the file structure that mirrors exactly what is in Cursor. And why this is important? It is important because we will be able to use a GitHub integration with AWS Amplify and deploy our application so our customers can see that. We'll do that in the next episode.